Most people think alcohol kills through drunk driving accidents or overnight tragedies, but the reality is far more sinister. This drug operates like a stealth assassin, systematically dismantling your body from the inside while you go about your daily life. I'm gonna reveal the exact biological warning signs that alcohol is actively destroying you right now, and the first one is already showing up in your bloodstream. The initial red flag isn't shaking hands or slurred speech, it's happening in the depths of your liver. And very quickly, if you want instant access to a brand new video training that I've just finished showing you how to control alcohol in as little as 48 hours, then click the link in the description. This new method is not about using willpower therapy or AA meetings. It's totally different. I do not publish this video anywhere else online, and it's already changing thousands of lives. So click the link below for instant access. Once you're on the next page, enter your name and email address, and your free training will begin. It takes just 7 minutes to watch, but it'll feel like somebody flicks a switch in your brain. And honestly, I'm not sure when I'll start charging for this 7-minute video training. That's how good it is. But whilst it's still available, click the link below, enter your name and email address, and watch that video now. The blood test. Nobody wants to talk about liver enzymes. Your liver is the command center of your entire body. Picture this. You schedule a standard physical. You feel normal. Sure, maybe you're a bit more exhausted than usual, but isn't everyone tired these days? The nurse draws your blood. Within days, you receive a notification, or maybe it's a phone call. 2-letter combinations jump off the page, ALT and AST. These are liver enzymes. In a properly functioning body, they remain locked inside liver cells, doing their essential work, converting nutrients into usable energy and filtering toxins from your blood. But the moment you consume ethanol, you're essentially detonating small bombs inside these cells. Alcohol is poison to liver tissue. It murders cells. When these cells die, their walls rupture. And when they rupture, the enzymes ALT and AST flood into your bloodstream, like refugees escaping a burning building. So when those numbers appear elevated on your lab results, you're not just seeing abnormal statistics, you're witnessing cellular genocide. You're staring at the wreckage of your own organs circulating through your veins. Here's where the trap closes. Society has conditioned us to dismiss this. You rationalize, I just partied a bit hard last weekend, or I'll do a detox month and everything will reset. You negotiate with reality. You make deals with yourself. But when these numbers stay elevated, that's when you're entering truly dangerous territory. Yes, the liver is resilient. Yes, it can regenerate damaged tissue, but it cannot wage a constant battle against poison day after day indefinitely. Eventually, your liver abandons healing and switches to survival mode. Healthy tissue gets replaced with fat deposits. This condition is called fatty liver disease. If you continue flooding your system with ethanol, that accumulated fat transforms into permanent scar tissue. That's cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is alcohol's #1 weapon. It's not a quick death. It's a gradual, agonizing collapse of your body's entire filtration infrastructure. By the time you hit 50, if you've ignored these enzyme warnings, you're not planning vacations, you're hoping for organ transplants. But there's hope. The liver is remarkably forgiving. Stop introducing the toxin, and regeneration begins. The numbers can normalize. But you must reject the dangerous myth that one abnormal test is acceptable. It's not acceptable. It's your body screaming for help. While your liver silently deteriorates, another sign emerges that people actually celebrate, but it's a catastrophic development. The deadly badge of honor, tolerance. How often have you heard someone boast about their drinking capacity? Nobody can outdrink me. I've got an iron stomach. In drinking culture, being able to consume 8, 10, or 12 drinks without collapsing is treated like an achievement. It's viewed as being elite. Let's apply pure logic here. Strip away the cultural programming. If you ate contaminated food and felt ill, you'd stop immediately. If you took medication that made you sick, you'd be alarmed. Yet with alcohol, when we stop experiencing the effects, we interpret this as victory. Here's the brutal truth. Tolerance isn't strength. Tolerance is your body's emergency response system. When you first drink, your brain is hypersensitive to the chemical intrusion. It responds dramatically. But if you repeatedly bombard your brain with a central nervous system depressant, your brain must adapt or die. It fundamentally restructures itself. It burns out dopamine receptors. It numbs itself to survive. So where 2 drinks once gave you a pleasant buzz, now you need 8 just to feel baseline. And on a biological level, something even more frightening unfolds. When your liver becomes overwhelmed, your body activates an emergency backup called the MEO system. This is your body entering crisis mode to eliminate the toxin. This process is catastrophically inefficient. It generates highly toxic metabolic waste products that inflict massive inflammation and cellular damage throughout your system. So when you notice you can finish an entire bottle of wine and feel totally fine, you shouldn't feel accomplished. You should feel terror. It means your body has become so accustomed to constant poisoning that it has fundamentally rewired your entire biochemistry just to keep you alive. The euphoria is gone. The relaxation is gone. You're just pursuing a phantom. And while your brain desperately tries to maintain chemical balance, the destruction is manifesting somewhere you can see with your own eyes. The belly that signals danger. Visceral fat. Stand in front of a mirror. Examine your midsection. I'm not referring to a little extra softness. I'm talking about that firm, protruding stomach. The kind that doesn't feel like normal fat, but feels solid, like a basketball. Society makes jokes about the beer gut. It's comedy material. It's part of dad bod acceptance culture. We trivialize it. But from a biological perspective, this is one of the most lethal indicators that alcohol is actively killing you. This isn't cosmetic concern. This is visceral fat, the most dangerous kind. This is fat that strangles your organ. It wraps around your liver, suffocates your pancreas, and encases your intestines. Why does this accumulation happen? The science is clear. Alcohol is ethanol, a fuel source, but it's a toxic fuel. When ethanol enters your body, your system identifies it as a lethal threat. Eliminating it becomes the absolute priority. Your body halts normal fat burning, it stops processing food for energy. Every metabolic process shuts down to focus exclusively on neutralizing the ethanol before it causes fatal damage. So everything else you consumed, that burger, those fries, it all gets converted and stored as fat. But the damage compounds. Alcohol attacks your pancreas. It causes blood sugar chaos and triggers insulin resistance. Insulin is your body's storage signal. When insulin function is destroyed, your body remains locked in permanent fat storage mode. You cannot lose weight regardless of exercise or calorie restriction because alcohol has blocked your metabolic exit. This visceral fat isn't inert. It's a disease factory. It pumps out inflammatory compounds constantly. It builds the foundation for type 2 diabetes. Heavy drinkers face double the diabetes risk, and diabetes subtracts 10 to 15 years from your life expectancy. It opens the floodgates to heart attacks and strokes. The beer belly isn't humorous. It's your vital organs drowning in fat because your body is too busy fighting alcohol to function normally. But while this weight is visible externally, invisible pressure is building inside your circulatory system. The ticking time bomb, high blood pressure. Let's examine the most common justification people give for drinking. I drink to decompress. I need it to wind down. It reduces my stress. This is perhaps the most dangerous lie in existence. This is cultural conditioning at peak effectiveness. We experience a sensation of relaxation because alcohol suppresses brain activity. It sedates us. But if you could observe your cardiovascular system in real time, you'd witness pure panic. Alcohol elevates blood pressure dramatically. Short term, it might cause vasodilation, that warm feeling. But chronic consumption, it hardens your arteries. It disrupts the hormones that regulate vascular pressure. You visit your doctor, the cuff inflates around your arm. The reading returns, 145/95. Hypertension. Even during sober periods, the numbers remain elevated. Why? Because alcohol has scarred your vascular system. Your heart must work exponentially harder to push blood through a system that's fighting against it. You might think, I'll just take blood pressure medication, but you're treating symptoms while ignoring the root cause. Hypertension earns the title silent killer for good reason. You feel nothing. You continue living, working, laughing, drinking until something ruptures. Chronic alcohol-induced hypertension causes 50% of preventable strokes, half of them. A stroke isn't just about mortality. It's about surviving, but losing speech, losing mobility, losing independence at 52 years old. All for a beverage you believed was helping you relax. The irony is devastating. We drink to eliminate stress, while physically constructing a pressure bomb inside our chest. But the heart is just a pump. The damage alcohol inflicts on your actual identity, your mind, is even more horrifying. The mental health death spiral depression, and anxiety. If you follow my content, you know I discuss this extensively because this trap imprisoned me for years. The vicious cycle. You feel anxious, you feel overwhelmed. So you drink. For a brief window, the mental noise stops. The anxiety evaporates. You experience relief, then morning arrives. And the anxiety hasn't just returned, it's multiplied tenfold. We've nicknamed this hangxiety. But let's examine the actual neuroscience. Your brain naturally produces chemicals for emotional regulation and well-being. Serotonin, dopamine, GABA. When you drink, you're flooding your brain with massive artificial doses of these neurochemicals. You're generating an enormous, unnatural spike of euphoria. Your brain recognizes this. It detects the massive overdose and responds, "This is dangerous." To maintain homeostasis, it drastically reduces natural production. It turns down your baseline happiness. So when alcohol metabolizes, you're left with nothing. Your natural levels have crashed into the basement. You feel hollow. You feel existential dread. You feel darkness that seems irrational. What do? You drink again. Not for enjoyment, just to feel baseline normal again. This transforms temporary mood fluctuations into chronic clinical depression. Many heavy drinkers receive depression diagnoses. They start antidepressants, they attend therapy, but they continue drinking. It's like trying to dry off while standing directly under a running shower. You cannot repair your mental health while continuously pouring a depressant chemical into your brain every evening. Recent research from Stanford shows this cycle increases self-harm risk 7-fold. It's a direct path to the ultimate tragedy. You're borrowing happiness from your future self, but paying it back with devastating interest. And while your mental resilience crumbles, your body's defense system is collapsing. The broken shield, immune system collapse. Have you noticed you're getting sick more frequently? Maybe a cold that persists for 3 weeks instead of 3 days? Maybe a minor cut that refuses to heal properly? Maybe you just feel perpetually run down. You attribute it to getting older. You blame stress. You blame seasonal changes. But if you're a regular drinker, the culprit is ethanol. Your immune system is your biological army. It defends against viruses, bacteria, and disease. White blood cells are the frontline soldiers. When you consume alcohol, you're essentially intoxicating your soldiers. The National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism has documented that alcohol suppresses immune function almost immediately. It cripples white blood cells' ability to identify and destroy threats. Imagine a fortress where every guard is unconscious. That's your body on alcohol. This means increased susceptibility to pneumonia, greater vulnerability to infections. Threats that a healthy body would easily defeat become serious dangers. We witnessed this during recent global health crises. People with compromised immune systems face the highest mortality risk, and alcohol is one of the fastest ways to compromise that system. If you're drinking heavily, one severe flu could be the infection your body cannot overcome. This isn't just about catching colds. It's about your body's fundamental ability to repair cellular damage. Alcohol halts the repair process. It keeps you in constant breakdown mode, but while your body struggles against external threats, your internal world, your memories, your identity begins disintegrating. The permanent mental brain damage. This is the sign that terrifies me most. We joke about forgetting last night, blackouts, memory gaps. We laugh about embarrassing texts we don't remember sending. But what happens when the fog becomes permanent? What happens when you cannot recall names of people you just met? When you lose your thought mid-sentence? When you feel like you're thinking through thick mud? This isn't normal aging. This is structural brain damage. Chronic alcohol use physically shrinks brain tissue. Specifically, it attacks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for learning and forming new memories. You're literally dissolving the architecture that stores your life experiences. Medical research confirms that heavy alcohol consumption causes measurable tissue loss. It creates permanent gaps in cognitive function. 10% of all dementia cases are directly alcohol related. This is early onset dementia, people in their 50 seconds and 60 seconds losing mental sharpness. The tragedy is you don't notice daily degradation. It's imperceptible, like watching a tree grow. You don't recognize the change until you remember who you used to be. You used to be mentally sharp. You used to be quick-witted. You used to focus intensely for hours. Now you need alcohol to shut your brain off because you can no longer use your brain effectively when it's functioning. You're trading your intellect for temporary numbness. And for men specifically, the damage extends beyond cognition. It strikes at something central to male identity. the chemical castration, testosterone collapse, and ED. Let's be direct. Alcohol marketing sells masculinity. Advertisements show the sophisticated man with whiskey, the successful man with champagne, the guys watching sports with beers. It links alcohol directly to manhood, virility, and power. This is the most destructive lie imaginable. Biologically, alcohol functions as a chemical castration agent. Looking at hormonal effects, alcohol devastates testosterone. It reduces production of the hormone that drives energy, muscle development, and motivation. But the damage goes further. It pushes your hormonal balance toward estrogen. Alcohol increases aromatase enzyme activity and slows estrogen clearance, causing more testosterone to convert into estrogen. So you're simultaneously lowering male hormones and elevating female hormones. The results? Erectile dysfunction, complete inability to perform, libido destruction, complete loss of sexual interest, muscle loss. You become softer, weaker. Testosterone supports bone density, metabolic function, and emotional stability. When you suppress testosterone through heavy drinking, you accelerate aging across every biological system. You're chasing a feeling of masculinity by consuming a poison that literally strips away your manhood. And when you feel weak, when you feel ashamed, when you cannot perform, what happens? You isolate, which leads to the final and perhaps most lethal sign, the loneliness that kills social isolation. Alcohol begins as a social facilitator. You attend parties, you go to bars, you meet people. It seems to connect you to others. Let's grab drinks is the universal invitation, but observe the transformation over time. As dependency deepens, as tolerance builds, as anxiety intensifies, your social circle contracts. You start drinking at home because it's more economical. You start drinking alone because you don't want people counting your drinks. You start concealing bottles. You start lying about your whereabouts. Social connections fracture. Friends stop calling because you're unreliable. Your partner emotionally withdraws because you're unavailable. You end up alone. Alcohol is a possessive master. It wants complete control. It isolates you so there's nobody left to intervene. Depression intensifies because humans are tribal creatures. We require connection, but alcohol replaces human bonds with chemical dependency. And consumption accelerates because there are no social safeguards. There's nobody to say, maybe you should slow down. It's just you and the bottle. This isolation is lethal. It feeds the dark thoughts discussed earlier. It leads to giving up entirely. If you recognize any of these signs in yourself or someone you care about, you need to watch what I'm about to show you next. Click the video on screen right now to see the dark truth behind high-functioning drinkers, the people who seem to have it all together on the outside while their bodies are quietly shutting down on the inside. This might be the most important video you watch this year. Click it now.